Boston Celtics and Miami Heat tonight in Boston. The series was tied 2-2 before Game 5 in Miami, which Boston took pretty handedly. And now they are back in Boston tonight, and the Celtics are looking to close this one out. They're laying 8.5 at home. Lowest total we've seen this series. I mean, probably lowest total we've seen all season. 201.5. Chris, tell us your play in this game.
Yeah, that's a really low total. I did my best Alex impression yesterday. I had no pick, but not today. Not today. I like the Celtics in this game. And I know at first, right, we see the 8.5. It was 9 at first, actually. And, you know, that's a big number. That's a big number in the NBA playoffs, a huge number in the Eastern Conference Finals. But I do think that it makes a lot of sense. And I am going to go with the Celtics at minus 8.5 tonight. And the biggest reason for me is from what I've seen from the Heat in the last two games, but especially in that last game. It's probably pretty obvious at this point that they just look a little banged up, right? They look just a little slow. This series is starting to wear on them. Probably the previous series did too. And now you have a situation where Jimmy Butler, even though he showed in Game 1 that he's capable of like being that superstar for the Heat, still throughout the series we see that the Heat really don't have that star. Jimmy Butler is hesitant to make the shot. I mean, he has open looks and he doesn't take those shots. And it's pretty constant. You know, Bam Adebayo kind of feels like the same thing. Like he drives to the basket sometimes he doesn't. There's a reluctancy there. And now I don't think there's a great chance for Tyler Hero to play tonight either. I think he's still officially questionable, but I don't think the chances there are great with that groin injury. He's definitely not going to be 100% if he does play. And he's a significant risk on the defensive side too for the Heat. He's not a great defender, especially at this point in his career. So this is just a Heat team who's limping into this. And now they're going to Boston. The only thing that scares me a little bit is all the rhetoric, all the sentiment, everything is Boston, 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 right? And usually that's when the Miami Heat, as dogs and big dogs, I mean, that's a disrespectful thing, right? They're the number one team in the NBA. So maybe they show up and they put forth full effort, but that's why, I mean, I'm sure they will, but I still don't think it's going to be enough. What the Celtics proved in that last game, especially in the third quarter, is when they want to turn it on and turn it up, they have an offense that the Heat really can't play with. Especially when the Heat are tired and not playing the best version of their defense. So I don't know who's going to do it for the Celtics tonight. I don't even think Jason Tatum has to have a huge game, but the multitude of scores that they have on that team, they don't seem to be getting tired. They have just as much energy all the time behind their home crowd. And again, I have to mention Ime Udoka and the consistency that we're seeing from the Celtics team. And you know, in years past, even earlier this year, it felt like the mantra about the Celtics was that this is a really good team, but God, are they inconsistent? You know, they're just so up and down. Finally, we're seeing consistency, and I expect it tonight. I think it was Tatum who came out in the media, or somebody said from Boston, how serious they're taking this game. They know the urgency of it. They know these opportunities don't come very often, right? It's really hard to make it to this point. So this is not a team that feels like they're going to blow this spot. So I'm taking the Celtics to cover. If you like the Heat, I think that's an okay earlier play. You know, you're getting some good lines in the first quarter, first half. And as far as the total goes, it is low. I appreciate where it is. I think it's pretty sharp out of the books, right? But I think that might go over. And I think it might go over because, you know, it's probably going to be the Miami Heat chasing the Celtics this whole game, right? And when we see blowouts or potential blowouts, that's when the scores really get inflated. So all that to say, my one bet today, Celtics minus 8.5, ticket home, Boston.
Well, okay, fine. It might be a blowout, and the books are, you know, predicting that with the big number Boston's laying, but maybe not in the first half. So I'm going to make a first half play, take the under in the first half. That's 102.5. I mean, these two teams, they play at a slow pace. They're defense first minded teams. And as this series has gone on, we've seen the game slow down. I mean, in the first half, in the last three games, we've had 109, 90, and 79 in this last game. And I know the Heat really couldn't make a shot at all in this last game. So I would expect their shooting to be a little bit better tonight. But even though, I mean, the amount of injuries that this Miami Heat team has, Kyle Lowry basically just kind of looks like a shell of himself. He didn't do anything in this last game. Tyler Hero, who knows if he's going to even play at all. Then you have Jimmy Butler, who looks exhausted, like he's just been carrying this team throughout the playoffs. So I think the Heat are just running out of steam. I don't think their offense is quite as efficient as it was all season. And then the Boston Celtics, I mean, they get it done on the defensive end. So I think this one is going to start slow. Maybe Boston pulls ahead in the second half, kind of like we saw in Game 5 in Miami. But I'm going to play the under to start this game at 102.5. Alex, no play for you tonight. You're a smart man. But if you had to lean one way, either the side or the total, what would you take?
Oh, Jesus. I've been thinking about this all day. And
no, don't give us a player prop now because you'll do that later.
It's just, I don't know what happened. I would love to know what happened after Game 3. The first three games of this series, the Miami Heat are shooting a little over 46% from the field. We have games, the pace in the mid-90s. All of a sudden, we're looking at a pace of 90, a pace of 89. The Heat are shooting 33%, 32% from the field. It's bizarre. I mean, it seems almost overnight these guys have aged 5 years, and it's not like it's a very young team, but it just there's no juice, there's no energy there from them. You're watching again, as I described, one of the best ways you can tell how tired teams are they moving their bodies, or are they reaching with their arms? Are they sticking their hands out, or are they sliding? And it's a lot of reaching for Miami these last couple games. I continue to show value on Miami, and it's just, I feel nuts. This is one of those rare series where without an injury, the line has moved. The last two games in Boston here, the line closed right around -6. We're looking at 9. 8.5 will probably close somewhere around 9 tonight. That's a 3-point adjustment for nothing other than what we've seen the last two games, which is very rarely seen in the playoffs. And it doesn't seem like it's a number that's been beat up. I know a lot of people that would just play Miami simply based off that, move on error, if you will. So it's hard. There's just so many different things kind of working here. I mean, I think we'll get a good game from Jimmy Butler. Historically, he is great in these spots, and I think Spoelstra will hopefully, fire whatever last arrows he's got left in his quiver, but it just doesn't seem like Miami has enough.
Even though Jimmy Butler's had combined 27 points in the last 3 games, he's gotten 10 of 40 from the field, 1 of 7 from deep, Alex.
He's due.
That's true. And he does like these games, that's win or the season's over. So that's kind of Jimmy Butler time, I guess. Might be due.
He's going to shoot a lot. That I'm sure of.
Okay. Well,
Alex,
go ahead, Chris.
I'm sorry, kid. Alex, what did you say? The last arrows in the quiver? The what?
That last arrow in his quiver.
God, this guy, he just whips out these sayings. I never heard that one before. That's a good one.
You didn't know what a quiver was? A quiver is what you store your arrows in. It's that little backpack.
Apparently, yeah.
Oh,
apparently
yeah.
it's like
See, I did not know that.
Got to do more crossword puzzles, Chris.
Yeah. All right, Chris playing the Celtics -8.5. I'm taking the first half under, and we are.